Brenda.
God, I offer myself to you to build with me and to do with me as you will. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I will help of your power, your love, and your way of life. May I do your will always. My name is Brenda. I'm a recovering alcoholic and a drug addict. Good morning, good afternoon. Good to see you guys. I'm very happy to be here. I haven't had to drink or do drugs to change the way I feel since July 3rd of 1990. And in another month or so, I'll be sneaking up on 34 years. I want to tell y'all, man, I did not expect to be looking this good. It just happened, people. It happened. Mm. So, I always ask if we're going to be recorded, and we're going to be recorded. So I'm gonna need everybody to behave, okay? Because it's gonna go out as a representation, more of you than of me. So usually when they don't record, I just know it's my word against other people's words as to what was shared. But I'm glad to be here. I can assure you that I'm very in touch with the fact that you're not getting these 50 minutes back. Right? No matter how long I live, no matter how long we stay clean, no matter how long we stay in recovery, this moment, this time, in our current circumstance is never going to come again. So I want you to know that I plan to make very good use. I hate speaker meetings, even when I'm the speaker, because the only part of the story I care about is the part that sounds like mine. I mean, like, people will get up to be the speaker and they're like, I was born, and I'm like, oh my God, how old are they? Because how long is this going to be? I purposely put my wall right here so I have somewhere to lean on when I'm suffering through people's story. And I'm like, man, I can't go all the way back with you till you were born. Can you just like hurry up? And look, if y'all got to be on a meeting on a Saturday afternoon, I know y'all know what it was like. Because unless you know what it was like, you won't come to a meeting in the middle of Saturday afternoon. And historically, I don't spend a lot of time talking about the ways that alcohol and drugs separated me from God, separated me from the truth, separated me from myself. That's the disease I was really suffering from. I thought it was alcohol. I thought it was drugs, but what I was really suffering from, the real disease, is a disease of separation. And I point myself in the right direction all the time, and then didn't have the power to get there. I'll be at work on Monday. I won't miss the birthday party. I'll be there to pick up the kids. And I had every intention. There's never been, look at me already all excited about sharing. I'd like to thank Terry for inviting me. Shut up. I just took off. Most people, when they get asked to speak for 50 minutes, are like, oh, I don't think I can speak that long. Shut up. I have a problem trying to get it all in. Right? So y'all gonna have to listen fast. Okay? Now, I love looking at y'all. Some of y'all look already over sober. Look at y'all. Look at y'all. I can see like 4 of y'all already mad. Thank God we have the textbooks, with the directions so that we wouldn't all have to remember how we did this. They wrote it down. And so all I know about the way I used was this story. So I get clean, and my sponsor's talking to me about making amends. And there was a hospital where I used to be a freaking flyer to the emergency room. You set your clock to me, right? And sometimes I'd go in there and have pain that required that I get stuff that I wanted to use. And sometimes I went in and, asked for stuff that I was going to sell. I know you're shocked, to somebody else. And so in the part of the amends, my sponsor said, go down there and ask them to give you an itemized bill of the money you owe them. It seemed a bit drastic, but okay. So I sit in front of this lady and I said to her, I'm in recovery now, and I'm gonna pay you the money back that I owe you. And my sponsor said to come and get a list of the bills and everything. She looked at me once she had my name. she looks at me, she goes, okay, so we already forgave half of these accounts. So I'm just going to print the half that are still on our books. I'm like, well, that can't take too long. Go ahead. So in the meantime, I'm on the phone with my sponsor and I'm like, I've been thinking about it. I don't really think I'm an addict. Like, cause I can like not use, before lunch. So, I mean, that's something. And, the other day I stopped in the middle of using, I stopped. And if I was a real addict, I mean, the cops were there, but I was working up to stopping anyway that night. And I said, I don't really think I'm an addict. And she says, when you get done getting that paper, come see me. I'm like, no problem. Hey, I'm dating myself. The kids on here are probably like, what the hell is that lady talking about now? That hell's not a cuss word. It's a place. It does not exist, by the way. But anyway, so they printed back in the day. We used to have, what was it? Dot something or other printer. Anyway, that's the way the printer started. And it ran and it ran and it ran. I mean, the lady went on her break and came back and then brought me a stack that thick of the accounts that were still active, single space dot printer paper. And I thanked her for it. Yeah, when I said to her, I'm going to start paying you like $25 a month, she probably thought, I'll pass along the note to whoever might be alive in the next 50 years to receive the last of the payments. Well, needless to say, by the time they gave me the printout, I had already forgone the answer to the question, am I really an addict? I used as an excuse. I used as an escape. I used to leave. Because my disease required that I leave the present moment no matter what I was experiencing. I figured you can't pin me down. You can't hit me if I'm on the move. And so my entire time of using and abusing scripts and all that all came down to the fact that I could not face myself. But rather than spend the time, I want to know what's happened to somebody who's been clean for 33 years. I want to know how you survived that many group conscience meetings. I want to know how you stay in meetings with other people who clearly don't own the books or have never opened them, right? And so I want to talk about that stuff. What does a life look like when it is subjected to the steps? What does a life look like when it is surrendered? What does a life look like when it is accepted? When it is well lived, when it is enjoyed, when it is claimed? And so, the only thing about my using is that I used enough to be your speaker today. I used enough so that the disease broke me from the inside out. I mean, to look at me on the outside when I got here as a 24-year-old kid, don't do math. It's Saturday. I think I'm at 58. Something like that. But when I was 24, my life broke from the inside out. And every day was a hustle to make sure that you never knew that. And I think most of us come from the same places. I came from places that said, do not ever cry. Do not ever tell the truth. Do not ever own up. Do not ever snitch. Do not ever. So I came already able to follow rules. The problem was that I was following rules that were creating distance between me, the people I loved, the life I wanted. And I was quite certain that when I arrived in the rooms of recovery, that it was a mistake. Except that the longer I went without using, the better I felt. The longer I went without using, the clearer I thought. And the sponsor said to me, Brenda, if you're not an addict, if you don't have this problem, how come the solution is working so well? And it was. And that's the place I started from. I would pick up the books. I'd sit in meetings and pick up the books, and they would read just like 4 lines, and then people start sharing, and I already forgot what the 4 lines were. Not only did I already forget, I didn't even know what they meant. And like I said, I felt broken. I less than, I felt distorted and disoriented. I didn't want the life I had. I didn't want to be clean for it. There's a lot of people I lied to, a lot of people I hurt, a lot of people that I had experiences that required that I be careful how I moved around the world. And so I thought, I don't want to get clean. What I didn't understand was this. I did not understand that what was actually going to happen was that they weren't asking me to work the steps so that I could live the life I had. They were asking me to work the steps so I could have the life I deserved. It was a whole different life. It was a whole different experience. And I won't read the book to you. I hate people who read the book to me. I'm a teacher. I'm going to read the book to you. So just this paragraph in step 1, it says, many of us recall the moment of clarity when we came face to face with our disease. If you have not had that moment, hang out. It's coming. So it says, many of us recall the moment of clarity when we came face to face with our disease. All the lies, all the pretenses, all the rationalizations we had used to justify where we stood as a result of our drug use stopped working. All the lies, the pretenses, the rationalizations, the justification that it all stopped working. Who and what we were became more clear. We could no longer avoid the truth. People ask me all the time, when should I start working the steps? I'm like, how many horsemen do you see? I mean, like, how bad is it? Do you still feel happy, joyous, free, peaceful, like that? Last week is the answer to that. When should I start the steps? And so I'll talk about the steps. The other thing I hate is when people go in order. I'm like, girl, shut up. What time are you going to get to the step I'm on? So I'm not that person either. Listen, we are in fact the people who will be living in utter excruciating pain. And the first thing we get back is our opinion, right? Like folks jumped on here and saw me smiling and went, oh, I can't with this one right here. She gonna be extra. I can tell. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So I found out that the only wrong way to do the steps, somebody better have a pen and write this down. By the way, I take notes still, 33 years in, 20 years in Al-Anon, whatever. I still take notes in meetings because my ego does not wish to be introduced to any new information. And what happens is that I get new information in the meeting, and while we're holding hands to close the meeting, my ego's erasing everything. The things I thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. I'll never forget that. By the time I get to the car, I'm like, what did she say? Somebody done erased that from the board. And so I take notes. And I found out that the notes help me. Look, because I have tons of notebooks where I've written down the things that made me go, or I need to ask my sponsor about that, or I wonder what the real definition of that is, or I need to find out where this lady's speaking on Zoom, so I never come to another meeting. Where's she gonna be? So I found out that the only wrong way to do the steps is to leave them undone. Anything else, fair game. Anything else, the God of my understanding will honor the effort. God isn't into the outcomes either. God isn't into the outcomes. God is into the effort. I have a son. By the way, I don't have any natural children that are mine, but everyone belongs to me. I I'm about 800 years old, looking fantastic. And so like all the kids are mine, and you will be the legacy I leave the world when I move on. And so on any given day, I will give you the very best of everything I have to offer you, because one day I'm gonna need it back. When I get into trouble, when I'm like disturbed about something, you know who I call? The people I sponsor, because I know they've been brought up well. The other day, I got a newcomer living here. This little four-legged little girl named Mia, and she shredded the pee pad. You know, I think it was a moment of protest. She shredded it into as many pieces as she could, then proceeded to pee on it once she tore it, and then decided to poop and walk through the poop. I mean, the gifts, they just started coming right away with this little one. So I called my sponsee and I said, is there ever a set of circumstances under which I should just completely. And my sponsee said, no, there's not. And I said, all right, well, start talking. She goes, okay, okay. So first she's a puppy. I'm like, I hope you have more than that. She said, yeah. She said, and you probably need to put her in the crate, not because you're being mean to keep her in the crate, but for her own safety. I'm like, whatever. So now Mia stays in the crate. But God is good to me, because the way I get her in there, look, she's like, I ain't going in no crate. It's Saturday. Back off. Like that, right? So she knows the calendar. But the way I get her in there was with carrots. Who knew? Mm. You're like, what the hell does this have to do with being clean? Because it changes who I am in my home. It changes who I am in my relationships. It changes who I am with God, in front of God, and because of God. So let's just get that out the way. God. I'm just talking about whatever it is that makes lightning and thunder. Because no matter how precious I am, I can't walk out into the area down here and make lightning and thunder. I'm not the one that colored all the trees, all those shades of green, and been showing them off every day. I'm not the one that can take a seed and turn it into a tomato. I'm not the one that can take a sperm and an egg and create a life. That's all I'm talking about. I don't know what else to call it. You know, I have a friend and she was having a hard time, and she reached out to me, and you know, she was going through it, and I sent her a text and I said, God loves you, God loves you, God loves you. And I hit send and my phone auto corrected to Bob loves you, Bob loves you, Bob loves you. She's like, hey, can you come over later? Bring Bob. God don't care. Don't care at all. I can call God's name right now. I'll just say God. And God always comes toward me when he or she hears my voice and says yes. And I'm like, well, I was thinking. And then they're like, no, no. So, but at least we're starting off with a yes. And I, for a long time, look, I'm going to tell you, for a long time, I thought that the bad crap that happened to me in my life, I thought God had something to do with that. I thought that all the ways that I had been disappointed, the times that I said, if you'll do this, I will, and then God didn't do it. The day that that person that I needed in order to stay alive died, the ways that I felt that God had deceived me and left me, I had all this proof. Then I get to Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon and all the other 12-step programs, only to find out that they're all talking about this experience of God that I'm not familiar with. And I'm like, look, is there a way to do this and not believe in God? Is there a way to do this and not have a God? And the answer is yes. Yes. Because in my experience of relationship, we don't require that you believe anything. except one small thing to consider. I just need some power that I can turn my life over to. It doesn't matter what it is, to the trees, to, to whatever that is. I got to get my own conception. And based on my relationship with with my own conception, I started to build a new, sober, clean life. And God was a part of all of those things that disappointed me and hurt me. But it wasn't the part I thought. Woo! Look, if y'all don't hear nothing else today, God was involved. But I had pegged God as the person that had been responsible for it. I had decided that God did that. Not helped at all by people who want money from me. And the way they used to get money from me was to tell me that, well, you should really pay us a little money and we'll pray for you and you will be forgiven and you will have all that and salvation will be yours. And here come the collection plate. I'm not talking shit about any of that. I'm just telling you that's my experience. And so when I got here and people were talking about, well, we're going to have to find something to believe in. I'm like, man, I've already been in this. Is there any way to do it without God? And they're like, yeah, there is. And so I just started working the steps from that place. And then the evidence started to mount. See, that's the thing. The evidence started to mount. I used to have a good friend and teacher. He said, just surrender something and then pay attention to what happens. See, that was my thing. I would give something to somebody. I would surrender this to this thing. But I never paid attention to what happened after that. And I'm here to tell you that everything I have ever turned over to the God of my understanding. So you need to know how I got from, I hate you, no way I'm trusting you, to God. There's two names I have for God today. One of them is something better, because God always wants what I want, or he wants something better for me. And the other one is, I call God my first conversation. How can I go from I hate you, no way, to God, my first conversation? This is what happened to me. I got done. There was a specific day we were working on step 2 and I stopped and I turned around and I looked at God and I said, I'm not running from you anymore. Kill me if you want to. I don't care. I'm done. And God said, my God, you run fast. He's like, I have been chasing you. I'm like, well, what do you want? He said, I was chasing you because I was trying to give you a hug. What? He's like, I just trying to give you a hug. And I'm like, but why would you hug me? Because of that thing that I did and that the people that I broke on my way to being clean. And God's response to that was, sorry to interrupt you. He's very mindful. He said, hey, did you see that sunset yesterday? I was in a particularly good mood. That was fabulous. And then I'm like, but what about the fact that I lied and then I stole that thing and then I lied and said the other person stole that thing? And God leaned forward and says, sorry to interrupt you again. He said, but if I were you, I'd find a way to be up in the morning. The sunrise, I got it all planned out. It's ready to go. And I'm like, God, listen to me. Stop interrupting me. Stop with the forgiveness crap. What about all that stuff I did? And God looks at me and said this, Brenda, I only exist in this moment. Whatever happened before this moment has already left. It's gone. I only exist in this moment. The invitation is to stay here with me, to stay here at the intersection of here and now. People are like, where do I find God? I'm like, go look for him right in front of you. he's like hiding out. You're like, hey, I'm over here. And so that's what happened. That's where the shift started, right? And I have spent my entire time clean and sober working the steps. I've had sponsors. I've sponsored people. I've had home groups. I've started meetings. I have done the things that I have been encouraged to do to continue to carry the light that God has given me. And I want y'all to know, I have tried for a long time in my clean time to try and be little and try to make my energy easier for you to hide a little bit of the light so that you would consent to coming closer. I was standing behind the podium in Austin, Texas, probably about 17, 20 years ago, and out of my mouth came these words. I said to the people that had gathered there, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to make it little. This is who I am. The light I have, God gave me. Who I am, God made me. The way it comes out because I'm awake. That was the whole thing. Wake up, Brenda. Wake up. This is it. This isn't dress rehearsal for something else. And the steps have allowed me to take inventory. Who are you? Who are you really? You know, there's this guy that talks about the fact that he had said to a sponsor, oh my God, if the people in AA or NA ever found out this secret that I'm keeping, I would just die. And his sponsor said to him, if they don't find out, you will just die. You know, Brene Brown, I don't know her. But she said something. She said, I have finally stopped paying more attention to the people in the stands than the people on the field. People won't sign up to take 90,000, 50, 11 speaker engagements, but they will sign up to say that was crap. Why did we, who asked her? They're not going to be part of the home group anymore. And that's the risk I take. That's the risk I take. And I will take that risk until the last day I live if there is a slight chance that somewhere in the middle of the words or the pauses, you might experience the clean air blowing over the mountains of your life. It's hard to be clean. And in my experience, it's impossible. It's unbelievably painful to be clean without some power to believe in. And so there's do things. There's outside do things. Go to meetings, sponsor people, study the book, have a service position, do something for this. So that's the outside do things. What I want to spend the rest of my time talking about is what's the inside do things. Because if there is no fundamental change in the way I see myself, in the way I experience God, in the way that I present, look, there's something wrong. There's something wrong if I am 33 years clean and sober, still responding to my life the way I did when I got here. I got here and knew how to cuss you out. I got here and knew how to walk away and slam doors. And because I'm gifted, I knew how to cuss you out in 2 languages. I'm the only person I know that can lose her breath on Zoom at my house. I mean, I'm not even excited at a whole meeting. It's me and the newcomer and she's locked up. and so what's happened is that they put the directions in here. They just put them in order. There's like a whole paragraph that has the steps. I don't care if you got to steal these. Who said that? Oh, we're being recorded. You should be responsible and pay for the books. Because all the information's in there. I can't afford to leave my house without my books. I am 33 years in. I haven't taken a vacation. I didn't go away for 17 years, come back, pick up a chip. Well, it's fine. Whatever it takes for people. That's not been me. And the life I hold in front of you for your inspection today is one that has been examined and surrendered. And so I just got to go in order. I got to get a pen. I got to get a tablet. I got to get what's going on in my mind out on my paper. Because other than that, I cannot truly see myself. And the only reason I need to see myself is that I can give full consent to what I am surrendering to God. That's why I need to see me. It's not because I want to be great and see what, I mean, all that is beautiful because God made me. I am those things. But I need to see who I really am so that when I hand it over to God, we're clear that I have handed it over to God. And I get passionate and excited. Look, I was in a meeting recently and this young girl came in. And so, everybody was saying hi or whatever. And she looks at me, she goes, "Did you used to live in so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You were at the first meeting I ever went to 20 years ago." She goes, I have 3 years now. I said, Fabulous. Best three. Good. She said, you had a lot of hope. I remember that about you. You had a lot of hope. She goes, wait. Have you had hope all this time? Yes, I've had hope. It's my superpower. Hope is my superpower. I want you to know that I came to recovery and my life was in shambles. I couldn't tell the truth. I couldn't trust the truth. I thought what was wrong was the things that my people were asking of me that I couldn't do. Things like keep a promise. Things like don't steal my stuff. And that the process of the steps the process of the steps, the process of the steps has been what has fully restored it. And I would tell you this, and regrettably, and with deep sadness in my heart, a lot of our stories had some of the same beginnings. We, in some way, have all experienced injury and harm at the hand of another. I couldn't do that work alone. I couldn't turn those pages. And I had this idea that there was always going to be something wrong with me because of the way people hurt me. I thought there was always going to be something wrong with me because of the way people hurt me. As God is my witness, I am going to tell you that because I have done the work I've done, because it's been messy and out of order and in two languages and backwards and poor, because all of that has been my experience of the steps, I am here to tell you today that I am a free woman, that I am a clean woman, that I am a sober woman, that I am a woman of love and hope and God and peace and abundance, and I don't ever get my way. And I thought I couldn't be those things because of the injuries. And I want you to know that if you could take a spiritual CAT scan of me right now, not only is the wound gone, there is no mark at all, no blemish at all, no wound, no scar, nothing. I have been restored. And not because I'm special, not because of that. I did the work. That's all I'm saying. Like I did the work. Okay, everyone, hydrate. I'm gonna end in like 5 minutes. I have a feeling. It may be 7. Just hold on. So I teach school. I teach 12-year-olds. It was an accident that I even got in college to begin with. But I did. And I got there and they used to give this little book and you used to look through it and say, okay, I'm going to take this class next. I don't know. I was looking for the degree that didn't have a lot of math required. Because stuff had not been adding up for me for a minute, though. Anyway, so I was looking through the little book, and I did the calculations, and it looked like I had about 12 hours left, which is just one semester, and then that I was going to graduate. So I walk into this office, and I say, hey, my name is Brenda. those people lost their mind. They're like, we have been trying to get a hold of you. You have to file a degree plan. If any of y'all start college, file the degree plan. Anyway, don't wait till you have 12 hours left. And so I went and I just paid attention and I didn't know what we were doing. And I was trying to be sober, and all those kids, they thought I was funny as hell. So they wanted me to go to all their drinking parties with them. I'm trying to get sober and not pick up any case numbers anymore. And then graduation came. There were 83 people in my graduation class, and 3 of us got jobs as teachers in the local district, and then other folks had to go somewhere else. And we got back all together for our last class, and there's this guy in there, and he goes, you only got that job because you're a woman and you're Hispanic. I said, it's about time that shit paid off. So I went on a job interview the day of graduation, and the principal's like, we will hire you. What job do you want? We have all kinds of jobs. Which one do you want? And I said, well, who are the kids nobody wants? He's like, that would be the 6th graders. I said, I'll take them. I just finished yesterday my 18th year as a 6th grade teacher. The irony of it all, people, stay with me. I'm a math teacher. Why in the hell? Why? Because God's like cracking up all the time. And I love these kids, and they come to me and I tell their parents that I'm going to promise them 2 things. I'm going to promise that I'm going to love your child as if they were mine. And I'm going to promise you that I will protect them with my life. And these little humans, and every year I write them a letter and I give them a marble and I tell them to hold on, that the days will be longer sometimes and the days will be harder sometimes, and for them to hold on to that marble because all the hard days end at midnight. They all end at midnight. I want you to know that it was years later. I was back in my hometown. I'm with my family out at a restaurant having dinner, saying hello to folks that we, all of us went back together, and I'm one of 9 kids, and this guy starts walking toward me, and he's got a little 2-year-old, and forget about it, man. Like, if you're going to talk to me, make sure there's no kids, because I'm like, boo, peekaboo, woo, like that, right, with the kid. And I looked up, and he says, Miss Hossel, that's my last name. I said, yes. And I looked at him, and he goes, do you remember me? I said, I remember the eyes. I don't remember the name. And then he gives me his name, and he tells me that he was my student, and that he wanted me to meet his 2-year-old. And then he reached in his pocket and took out his marble. Ever since I've been a teacher, I've taught the kids that nobody else wanted. I've taught the kids that are not from the U.S., that they don't speak English. They've never seen computers. One of my friends says, wait, congrats on the life path, because you picked a job that nobody's ever going to pay you to do. And then congrats picking those kids, because you're never going to get Teacher of the Year. I said, I don't want to be the teacher of the year. I want the person that needs it to be the teacher of the year. I already have everything I need. And I go and I love on these kids. There's 8 languages. I don't know. So they understand smile. Smile's the same for everybody. They understand love. Love is the same for everybody. They understand, I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. Yes, we did it. Very good, excellent. And I say to them, nobody's going to come save us. We are going to have to find our way ourselves. And I want you to know that the last thing that happened to me was that a little girl, I meant to catch her one more time. She came to me late in the year, and she was completely just broken down. She's like 12. And I saw myself and I recognized it. And she comes to me the second day, still crying so hard. And I said to her, I want to help you, but I can't help you if I can't hear you. Stop crying for just a minute to tell me what's wrong. And she said, that little boy is picking on me. He's making fun of my clothes. And I'm like, hey, I got him. No worries. I'm going to rectify that situation immediately, because I have not always known Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I took that little boy outside. I spoke to him in Spanish. He had no idea what in the fresh hell I was talking about. But he got the message. That thing ended that day. And that little girl, she wrote me a note yesterday. And she said, I had told people before, but you were the only one that's ever believed me. She said, thank you for not leaving me when I didn't understand. Find a sponsor that won't leave you when you don't understand, and then become a sponsor that won't leave them when they don't understand. I pray that all of God's love is mine. I pray that all of God's love is yours. I pray that all of God's love is with us all, this God, or something better. Amen. That's it, kids. That's all I got today. I sure do love you.